Hey, keeping new music alive is what I love to do, and what a great year for new music. And if you think rock is dead, you are certainly living in a cave or somewhere else. I don't know. You're not listening to me. And what the hell is wrong with you? But anyway, rock is alive and well. And if you think I got to change for 2023, you got another thing come up. I'm still going to be the crazy rocking guy supporting new music. So, and I got to say thank you to all the folks that have followed me, subscribed, listeners. I thank you from the bottom of my heart so much. I have great, amazing plans in place for 2023. It's going to be an exciting year. Stay tuned. Now, enough of that. As you see my background, the amazing In Theory, as I wanted to end my year with a loud bang, and in finding the best story possible in ending the year involving new music and a great band, because that's my thing. Well, I certainly know it, and I found it. And what a story I have to talk about for this band, really, in the last week or so. Speaking of an exciting year, this band, In Theory, continues to rise above all the rest. And I'm not saying it because they're good friends of mine. I'm just telling you, and I got the facts to prove it. Maybe not in live shows, not yet. Maybe not in recorded sales, not yet. However, very carefully, slowly, with precise precision, they have certainly conquered. Why do I say this? This relatively new band has reached the top of a mountain at a place known for its musical blend of country, gospel, and R&B. And I'm going to quote. This is from Alabama Music Hall of Famer curator George Lay. George said you can draw a triangle from Nashville to Memphis to Muscle Shoals. And while Nashville is the country center, Memphis is generally known as the blues center. And I'm going to add that Muscle Shoals is a combination, certainly, of all of them, because that's what he's really saying. And recently, and I mean recently, a long time Muscle Shoals radio station, I got it written down here, 101.5, where are you? WMXV has added a 60-second promo spot declaring Muscle Shoals has a new sound, and it's called, In Theory, swamp-inspired rock. And listen to this.
Muscle Shoals has a new sound, and it's called In Theory.
In Theory's debut album features their unique sound of swamp-inspired hard rock.
Featuring renowned guitarist and producer Mike Mostert. And the powerful rock and soulful voice of Tony Covino.
Looking up now, falling in.
From the banks of the Singing River, it's In Theory. Listen to the new sound of the Muscle Shoals with In Theory and their new single, Heroes.
Available everywhere you stream your music.
Get used to the new sound of the Muscle Shoals with In Theory. Learn more at InTheoryOriginal.com.
What was that? And at the end of our chat, I'm going to play one of their tracks, the video, as I always do, as I get ready for Squid TV in 2023. I am going to play the video of one of their great tracks called The River. I am blessed to call these two incredible musicians my friends. I mean, this guy's got a resume longer than Wikipedia and the encyclopedia. He's the CEO of his own company. He's a VP of a known instrument company. He's an inventor. He's a producer. He's a songwriter, an incredible guitarist, fashion icon, dog lover, you name it. My man, Mr. Mike Mostert. And along with him is his right-hand man, his side man, the voice that explodes and brings the musical magic of In Theory alive and then some. His soulful rocking velvet chops are one of a kind. He's an amazing family guy. He's a songwriter. He's also a little producer, and he's the vocalist of In Theory, my man, Tony Covino. Gentlemen, come on down. Come on back on.
We are here.
Mike Mostert, Tony Covino. Hey.
What's up, Patrick?
I like the title of Dog Lover.
Dog lover. Well, yeah. I mean, come on, Mike. I can spend the whole day just talking about your resume and intro, but I can't let my man Tony down either. Come on. You know how it goes. But gentlemen, welcome. My notes are over here because my printer shit the bed. Santa, I need a new printer. Welcome. Congratulations on so many fronts. I mean, especially the debut of this killer CD record. And to put the cherry on top, being recognized, are you kidding me, as the new sound of Muscle Shoals from a long-time local radio station. I don't think it gets any better than this. I mean, yeah, you could get the Grammy, you could get the Oscar, but from a musical standpoint, when two New Yorkers crush into Muscle Shoals and they go, there's a new sound in the neighborhood. To me, that's amazing. So, Mike, let me start off with you. What went through your mind when the first time you heard that spot?
Ooh, what went through my mind? I'll put it this way. I helped cultivate it. How's that? The thing is, I think In Theory is something very unique, and I really want to make a statement. And a part of it is, in this area, there's, they're very protective of their sound, and I understand that. It's historic. I mean, how many billions of records have been sold here? But I also want to add something new, and so the fact that they were accepting of us, and I think they've been dying for a good hard rock band or a good metal band, and I want to make a bold statement. And and they are very accepting of the bold statement because they've been wanting that, and I think nobody really wants to step up and do that.
Yeah, I mean, for them to step out of the box and say, "Hey, let's bring it up to the 2023 tomorrow. Let's make a statement." And what a statement! I mean, Tony, obviously, as a New Yorker and a kick-ass rock vocalist, what does this recognition mean to you?
Yeah, that's what happens when you don't lock the door and sneak in, right? They let the Yankee in. No, but I mean, everyone there in the communities was so nice, and they're very supportive of us, and we respect the history. That's the most important thing. We respect everything. And we just wanted to, it's like our second home. And there's a lot of people there that help us behind the scenes, and they're very respectful people. And we respect them back, and we always try to push the community as much as we can. And we're just excited. We bring another flavor to the area, which is good. And there's a lot of different flavors there. And we're happy to be. We're in our own niche, and also bring the history into what we do.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you do bring a new ingredient to a place known by, from Aretha Franklin, Etta James, and, the Stones, and Bob Dylan, and Paul Simon, and the list just goes on. Robert Plant was just there. I told Billy Gibbons, you got to record there. There's something about this gem kind of hidden. I mean, you just can't make it up. Mike, out of all places to move, coming from California, what was your intent and initial goals in moving to this, as I lose my notes, this small, southern, quiet musical gem of a population of probably no more than 30,000 along the incredible Tennessee River? Was it musical purposes because of the history of fame and recording studios there? Or was it, the superstars that recorded there? What was it, if you don't mind me asking, that gravitated you towards this place?
Well, it was actually more personal reasons to come here. And originally I was going to move to Nashville, and somebody was telling me about Muscle Shoals, and then the cost of living in Muscle Shoals compared to Nashville. Because Nashville, when I started looking at places in Nashville, it was very much like becoming like the new LA. So it was, a lot of traffic. The cost of living was increasing, and then I found out, you can get a house here for $70,000 or $80,000, or you can rent a nice townhome for $500. And where else can you get that? Is one. And then as I got familiar with the area, then I realized, the impact of all the studios. And I think this is one of the only places, and it keeps growing, within, I think, like a 10-mile radius, where I think there's about 18 or 20 recording studios. For me as a musician and being creative, this is a perfect environment. I just go 1 mile down the road. If I want to write, I want to record, I just jump in the studio and I can grab a bunch of, some of the greatest musicians, and we can just cut demos pretty much on a whim, and most of our demos actually ended up, a good part of it, like 50%, always ends up on the record somewhere in our tracks. So that became, quite a convenient thing if you're in that really headspace of, I want to be creative and write. If you have that focus, it works out perfect for me.
Yeah, you mentioned Nashville, and I mean, I've been to Nashville the first time in the early '80s, and it was all just country music.
You were there for the bachelorette parties? Is that what it was?
Say again?
You went there for the bachelorette parties?
Well, yeah. I mean, look at this place. I mean, a lot of rock stars that I'm interviewing all moved to Nashville. I mean, it is become the all music city, I should say. Covering everything. So yeah, you could have moved to Nashville with the intent, but you found this place.
But in the last year now, people are migrating out of Nashville and coming down here now. All the rocker guys, slowly you see it. It's the Nashville guys, it's the Atlanta guys, and the Memphis guys.
Pretty cool. Tony, obviously you recorded now down in Muscle Shoals a few times, like you said, a second home. Besides all the musicians and bands that have recorded there, and you kind of touched upon it, what makes this place so special?
I guess it's just the history, knowing all these people are down there, like we say, from the Stones to, recently Rival Sons cut 2 tracks on their last record down there. U2, Bono speaks it. It's just, I guess it's just the history of the buildings and who's been there. I mean, honestly, if you're driving down the street, you might just drive right by these places. But when you see the building, for some reason, it's just in your head. I don't know if it's from seeing pictures or through the past, and you're like, oh my God, that's the place.
Right.
But, you wouldn't, it's not like this sign like, hey, we're famous place for recording. It's a building. But then when you see the building, it's like, oh my God, this is where, Allman Brothers and all these people like wrote and were creative and things like that. And it's just, I guess it's just an aura, I can't explain it. It's an aura of, like I always said in the past, it's, you got to step up your game. Like when you go there, because you don't want to go there and have a crappy session when you know that Aretha Franklin wrote all the hits in the same room, and the studio we go to has history as well, and we feel like we're building our own history within the history, I guess we owe it to the past to always be on our A game, but it's stepping up. It's almost like, like a football player puts a uniform on. That's the feeling you get when you go into these places. It's like, okay, it's go time. Like you just, not in a bad way. It's just, you just feel like I'm creating right now. Everything else doesn't matter. Kind of feeling.
Yeah. I mean, when you playing at these places, the best of the best, like you said, when you're playing with great athletes, you're going to definitely bring your A game because you don't want to stick out like that guy And yeah, the pressure, I suppose, when you walk in these places and you see all these pictures, you go, holy crap. And I'm sure you get that feeling. I'm a very spiritual guy. I know I can walk in a place and go, there's something going on here. And it's interesting that they kept this city, like you said, just a plain building. You guys can tell me, I've never been there, but they don't have neon lights and going, come here, and the Stones recorded here. It's just them,
There's definitely no neon lights here. I think we're lucky if we can afford like a half a billboard.
But you did tell me, Mike, that it's gonna be the upcoming place that hotels, people are buying land there, people are noticing this
there's a lot of new restaurants. They're building, I think, a new amphitheater as well. So, a new restaurant row. So things are going to change in a few years. Because right now it's obviously known as the Studio Mecca. Soon it will be added to many tours as well. Because before they would skip over this place, and they would go from here to Atlanta, excuse me, or from here to Memphis if they do like a Southeast tour. But now it'll be part of many major tours.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, just look at the revenue that place would generate. I mean, when I first heard of Muscle Shoals, I mean, I didn't think about the history, honestly. I didn't know much about it until I met you guys. Mike, how important was it to have a guy like Clayton Ivey, a swamper, the rhythm section of Muscle Shoals, one of the greats down there on this killer CD, to bring a piece of that city onto your record?
Well, Clayton is a funny story. I have too many stories, Pat, as you know. But to have somebody like Clayton, and the thing is, I only really found out about Clayton maybe 1 or 2 sessions afterwards. I just knew the respect that he got when he walked into the room, and that I picked up on. And it's the funniest thing, when I had to get a keyboardist, I had a choice of getting a whiz kid or Clayton. And ignorance is bliss. And I go, Clayton might be, that sounds Southern. And I want to keep like a little Southern element. Really, that was really about it. And then, sure enough, I didn't. He sold about 200 million records, but at the end of the day, he's been the perfect fit for what we do in theory. So he's able to give a little swamp sound, but he's getting aggressive just as much as Tony is with his vocals, and he's just as subtle as what we can be very subtle, or we can punch you in the face as well. And Clayton definitely encompasses that, and I'm glad that he was able to be a part of it, and the fact that he's so he's just so passionate about our music as we are. And I think that made the experience even better for me. It's one thing you have to have, as you can have so many famous people playing your stuff, but if they're not really excited, or they just do the track, send it to you. I mean, he was like, he turned into like the teenager after the first session. And now he's like, anytime, I'm there. And the thing, and he's always thanking us. He's like, Mike, thank you for letting me play real music. He's thanking me, or he's thanking us. And, and I feel like it should be vice versa, thanking, to have somebody of that caliber. And I'll always put it on record as far as probably the best musician I've ever played with, hands down, is him, period. Like,
I mean, Tony mentioned, the best of the best, and here this guy, like you said, 2 million records or whatever the number is, and this is
200 million.
200 million records. This is his hometown.
Yeah.
He walks in the door, sees you guys, and I'm sure vice versa. There's some sort of, like you said, you have respect for the gentleman. You both, I know, would have that, and he's kind of intimidated, but he's going to bring his A game, as Tony mentioned before about bringing the best, and he certainly obviously did. Tony, what did you think when you see this guy? I know in one conversation I had with Mike, it was like he couldn't be more thankful for playing something totally different compared to maybe what his roots are. But what did you see when this legend, I should say, walks in the door and is going off musically on a great point on your tracks, Tony.
Yeah, I would, I it's crazy because you always think, all right, well, this guy's gonna walk in and it's gonna be like, what is this? Like, you know what I mean? And is it good enough? And as a singer, we're babies, so it's like, oh, does he think I suck? And like all these things go through your head,
Right.
So it's like when I'm there, I'm just like, I just want him to like it,
Right.
like, you know what I mean? Like, I just want him to like it and be like, okay, this singer doesn't suck. Like, that those are my two checks, right? But he ended up loving it, and it was energizing because sometimes when we're writing, you're in a bubble, and when someone outside comes in, but not only outside of us comes in, but someone that knows music, obviously. I mean, what this guy forgot, we still got to learn, right? So he comes in and he says, this is good. Like, it reminded him of, I believe he said, older Deep Purple. So I'm like,
Perfect.
I'm like, all right, is this guy just, is he just bullshitting us? And then over time after time after time, we've done multiple sessions with the guy, and he's just always praising us, and he wants to be part of it. And I'm like, it's empowering. Basically, as a singer, it's empowering.
Mike, do you think that had a lot to do with this radio station saying, the new sound of Muscle Shoals having a guy like Clayton on the record? You were interviewed you shared that clip. You only see a few minutes, about a minute of it. But what really came out of that chat? Did they promote Clayton at all, or was it really just about what you guys are bringing to the table?
No, it was more about really like the commercial says, or the ad says, about us bringing a new sound to Muscle Shoals. And it wasn't about promoting anybody locally. It was just, here's something new, and they wanted, they're excited to announce something new. They've been waiting for something new like this. So, I mean, I'm in one way, I'm I don't say glad is the right word, but I'm glad that they were just focusing on what we were trying to accomplish as a band and bringing a new sound, and they were focusing on that.
No, just curious. Listening to Tony, I'm like, I wonder if they were really thinking about their guy. But no, that's great. That's great to know. Tony, I was listening before to Promised Land, and earlier I was listening to, I should say, and you and the amazing Lanesha Latimer Cuevas, if I'm saying that right, harmonize so well. How important, and I know the answer, I would guess, how important is it for you as the lead singer to have another incredible singer to work with and make that song just like smooth and perfect?
Yeah, it's really important, because a lot of times what we didn't want to do is, a lot of times with lead singers, and I've done this in the past, we do all the harmonies. So and we didn't want that one voice, even though it's multiple parts. When you do it yourself, it still has the same texture to it. So, when we brought Lanesha in, it's funny because her tones are similar to mine, but they are different. Like, if you single out the tracks, you could tell it's her and you could tell it's me. But when you blend them, you don't know who's who. But it gives it a fatter sound, and it gives it. And obviously, she brings her gospel, R&B feel into it, which I have, but that's in her naturally. Right. I bring it out different ways. So sometimes when she does a harmony, she'll put a little bit more swag into it, which I love. So by her being on it, it's helpful because she fills in all the gaps that maybe I couldn't have done. And it just fattens up, and it brings mostly in the choruses and stuff, it just gives it an extra punch. And on top of, she's a great person. I mean, we're rehearsing now, and she's just so, she's always like, yeah, do it, Tony. She's like a cheerleader, even though she's, top level vocalist herself.
Oh my God, I tell her all the time, "Will you release your own stuff?" Oh my God, she's incredible. She's
Yeah,
amazing.
she's a good person to be around, and she's always very helpful, and she's an incredible talent.
She doesn't have an ego. Like you said, she's a cheerleader. She supports you. Somebody that's singing
Yeah.
with Stevie Wonder and Jennifer Lopez, and here she is in this rock band. And it's like, like you say, no such thing as a coincidence of how this all worked out. But yeah, she's
Well, and it's kind of cool to, like, the cool thing with her and Tony, or with this thing, is I think they influence each other without realizing that they're influencing each other. And I think Tony's picking up gospel licks just by hearing her, just because, when you hear the tracks over and over and over when you're recording, all of a sudden you're hearing these subtle timing things, and then vice versa, how she's listening to rock for the first time. So a gospel person approaching rock, she never heard like 90% of the bands and 95% of the bands. And so I would send her tracks of all these different bands that I thought were really cool. And so she's hearing it for the first time. And I really think, same thing, Tony hearing gospel under a microscope, if you just hear her vocals, I think that collaboration of those two together, just what a 1-2 punch, it's kind of unique, I think.
Oh my God, she's a special talent. And Mike, I don't think I've asked you this. Every song in the CD brings obviously something different musically and a great element. But for some folks that might not be aware of 2 other tracks that In Theory is recorded and released, awesome tracks, I should say, of Can't Find My Way and She's Gone, which is found on the Go-Go Tuner Family record, which really brought me to you guys. Why not include it in the debut CD? Was there anything that you just thought maybe it was released already? Because they're 2 incredible tracks.
Well, I think it's a little bit different, those tracks. So I think, in my take on those tracks, it was still, it still wasn't our sound yet. That was the launch pad to our next level of sound. So it went from recording that, and we're like, okay, we got something here. And then there was a few other things where I think Tony and I did a recording with Spooner, and that was Spooner, who's another legendary guy. So you take the recording that we did of the initial In Theory, you add a little bit of Spooner, and as time went on, there was a new sound developing. So that's why it's not included, because even though I love those tracks, I don't think it sounds what we think In Theory has become.
I gotcha. No. I said to myself, I don't think I've ever asked them, but for the folks that don't know, you can go to Go-Go Tuner Family Record, and that's how I got connected with Mike and Tony. And it's what I loved about
the cool thing. There's a cool version, I think, that Tony and I did it on Fox TV. And,
it's on your Facebook, I think, I want to say.
Yeah, and what we did is we rearranged and we revamped Can't Find My Way, where, again, that was the first foray going into a little bit more of a swampy. I'm bringing out the slide, and Tony's just bringing all soul, not really rock. And all of a sudden, we found another texture. We weren't looking for it. It said, oh, let's just try this. And Tony and I were in my living room here in Muscle Shoals, and we did that. And it's where, like, the song Memories that ended up on the In Theory record came out as well. But it was just, that was sort of the next step. What was that? Bringing out the slide with my Open G tuning pad.
Open G, baby.
Open G, baby.
Well, that comes with experience. Like you said, you started somewhere and built a little bit of the infrastructure. And now where you're at, you're going, why not? So I saw that and said, hey, you know what?
Growing. Yeah, and the thing is, we keep evolving and growing, and Tony and I are very conscientious of that we just want to keep evolving. Like, I felt like, this is their record, is a stamp, like old school. This is our stamp in time in 2022 to 2023. And then we're ready, we've been recording some new stuff already. And we'll make our next statement, but we keep evolving, and no is not a vocabulary. And, probably when we talk in 3 or 4 months from now, Tony and I will both have black eyes from hitting each other and hating each other. But you know, like, but what did he say? You can't make an omelet without cracking an egg, and that's
No,
Tony and I, you know.
no,
So
it's a good point, Tony. You could be playing with anybody, and you're with this guy who drives you nuts, going, "Nah, you could make it a little bit better. You could go back in that closet. You're not hitting what I'm." I mean, obviously, it's such a challenge if he's got this in his brain and he's trying to communicate it out to you to hit it where he wants to, where you think he knows you can get to it. It's just, I'm sure it's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, it's just, well, it's only frustrating because it's minuscule. It's like, it's not that it's not good, it's just not good enough for that part.
Right.
I mean, any of the tracks that we said weren't good were probably good. They were vocally good, but they just weren't exactly right or portrayed a certain
Right.
nuance for that part of the song. So it's like splitting hairs sometimes. That's why singers, when they go in, they'll sing multiple tracks, and then they'll leave. And then the producer sits there and he goes through each part. And the way we do it, more or less, is I'm doing all that, or Mike's doing all that ourselves. Like we don't have the luxury right now, maybe in the future, where we can record for a week and then have an engineer producer go through and pick out the best of the best, and then we come in and then we put the whole thing together. But right now we're everything. You know, we control the sound, we control where we want to perform, we control the look, and we just feel it's a slow process, but it's the right process, because we're in that niche of, quote, new classic rock, with the Rival Sons, Greta Red Fleets, Dirty Honeys. And I think we're in that, but we also don't want to sound like them. We want to be in that group, but we want to have our own niche where they would be like, hey, they're part of it, but we're not trying to rip anybody off at the same time.
No, I don't think I think you're in that niche. I think you're in that group in a way, but you're a little bit, you're certainly different. I mean, I've met just about all those bands except for maybe Rival Sons and a little bit of Greta. I know Dirty Honey's more blues rock.
Mm-hmm.
I know Greta can't, sadly, they just seem to be stuck with that Led Zeppelin thing over their head. Rival Sons is Rival Sons, but you guys, as I said from the beginning, swamp rock, I don't know where I got that from, but you bring a whole different element. You might fit in that recipe, but you definitely have your own path. And
well, I think we do, and I appreciate that, and I do think we have so many layers, and that's what I was trying to accomplish from a production standpoint, or the bigger picture of what the band is. I want our music. Every time you put it on, you'll hear something different, and I want the listener not only to rock out. You get the initial rocking out, but every time you put it on, I want someone like, oh, there's a keyboard thing on. Oh, wait, there's a little vocal thing here. Oh, I didn't know that there was this here. Every time you hear it, just like when I hear like an old Beatle record, old Zeppelin record, and it goes on and on. Like the great records have it, and you put it on 20 years later, you're like, wow, I didn't know that. It could be one little thing. There was a little bell in the, where there was a little shaker. The subtlest things, but that was what we were trying to accomplish. Just so many different layers from a musicality standpoint. And then so many layers, even from a lyrical standpoint, because I think a lot of what we do from a lyric standpoint is we're trying to make the people think. It's just not, for lack of better words, it's just not like rock and roll all night, rock and roll. You know what I'm saying? We want to add a little bit more depth to what we do musically and lyrically.
Well, you're not bullshitting me, dude. You don't take enough credit for what you do. You're always thinking outside the box. And that's what I love best about it, the diversity. And every song is different. And songs that almost you think you're over it and they take off like a rocket ship. No, you guys do a tremendous job. Tony, let me touch upon your vocal range. And obviously your sound is off the charts. I think I've asked you, but I'm not sure. What steps do you take to prevent your vocal cords from any damage? And did you ever have vocal lessons where somebody says how you sing and breathe and enunciate certain notes? Have you ever been through that?
Yeah, in the past. I mean, not recently, but I have tapes of, I mean, it's something I take seriously.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's your instrument,
yeah. I've taken lessons from, this is a singer's thing, but from Don Lawrence in New York City. He's like the kingmaker. And we're from Lady Gaga, Sebastian Bach, Tony Iommi.
Wow.
Um, well, anybody you can name pretty much was, and actually Lady Gaga started with him. She was a classical pianist, and she went for him for almost 10 years, and he helped build her career up. Of course, her talent, but vocally, he was the guy. So yeah, he's a prominent teacher. So when you go, daily, I go through a range of exercises, for like 25 minutes of stuff. Or anytime I do something, I always warm up first and then perform or do studio or do a concert. And I think it's important, and physically and mentally, because, the stuff is not a walk in the park. And I'm just always cautious if I see how singers, when they get older, they can't sing their stuff anymore. And I'm just out of fear, I tend to go to the extreme. I want to be able to sing, my stuff for years to come. And a lot of it can be prevented. I mean, I think if you stay on top of yourself and you take care of yourself, and it's like anything else. You stretch before you work out. You won't pull a muscle, hopefully, and I just believe in doing everything you can to help yourself. I don't really smoke or anything like that. So I'm a little bit boring. Mike can attest that, I'm one person on stage, and then when I get off, I want to go to the hotel. I want to just relax. I want to be quiet. I don't want to be around people that smoke or drink, or I'm boring.
The only thing I can attest to is the pain in the ass, no matter which version it is.
I don't know, Tony. The minute you get off that plane in the airport could be different these days. That's the guy. The paparazzi chasing you around. Tony's got a baseball cap on, sunglasses. I mean, paparazzi's probably hanging out at Mike's apartment right now, but who the hell knows?
Yeah, he's got somebody.
Mike, I know you too well. As you mentioned, you're looking always to evolve, and I get that. This recognition from this radio station is obviously off the charts and outstanding. How do you top this, besides maybe moving to another city and taking that city musically by storm?
Well, we have a lot of things in the works. I mean, for one other thing that's going to happen is, and I can definitely announce it now, but we are going to be doing a 4th of July show here. I think it's called the Spirit of Freedom, or Freedom of Spirit. I don't know. But it's a 25,000 to 50,000 people, in which we're going to co-headline, which is a pretty big deal for a bunch of Yankees, But yeah, that's confirmed already. So that's going to be a pretty big step. Now people will get to see, in theory, live in front of that type of crowd. Like I said, there's been years where it's 50,000, but typically it's 25,000 people. So I think that'll be not necessarily the finale step, but yeah, that's us making a nice stamp. But besides that, there are some things that we can't announce yet, but we're going to release some singles and through a mutual friend. And we can't mention it yet, Pat, but through that media company. So we're expecting a lot of press and it's a lot of big news to come out of that camp for us, and that's the next step. And then on top of that, we've been getting offered so many shows and festivals, and so yeah, you're going to see us. Actually, you'll see a lot of In Theory live, on top of a lot of new music, because we already started. As you know, I'm the workhorse. I got to keep working, and so we already started cutting tracks. This time I only came in with 70 ideas this time. And
70?
70, yeah.
Oh, Jesus, Tony.
And so And the funny thing, I started cutting the tracks and 4 days. It was 4 16-hour days with this one engineer, because him and I are just maniacs. And the funny thing is, out of all those ideas, we didn't use one of them. Well, every idea that these first 3 or 4 songs, was all when I'm just waiting for him he's working on the fader, he's working on the drum, he's just working on things. And I'm just getting bored on the couch and I'm just messing around, and I'll hear something. I'm like, okay, let's go with that one, or let's go with this one. It's all when the engineer's taking his time. And so it's cool, because I haven't even gotten to my other 70 plus ideas. So I'm pretty excited what this next record's going to bring.
Yeah, you guys are the talk of the town. You got to do some live show so people could really say, who are these guys, and support it. And exposure, I don't have to tell you guys, exposure is very important to get the numbers up and the algorithms and all that.
We need to play by somewhere near like WBXO somewhere. That's what we're thinking.
Yeah, that would be nice. At least Tony can drive to that instead of flying to Muscle Shoals. I mean, Tony, as we wrap up 2022, what's your musical, in theory, goals for yourself going into 2023, besides obviously some more live shows, and Mike has kind of laid that out?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, I mean, put out the new music. You know, I feel like we got some exciting stuff that's going to come out that's not finished yet. Obviously, you know, get on stage and hopefully get some recognition with some, you know, people out there that can put us in certain shows with certain people, and grow, you know, grow our, obviously, you know, we need money to survive. So hopefully to grow our base, so people buy the CDs, buy the shirts, come and see us play, so we can continue to do all the things behind the scenes. So my goal is, I guess, more recognition, and more opportunities to play with certain bands, and, you know, maybe partner up and do some big shows in the future.
I think that's going to happen. I think the window, the door is ajar, and it's about to explode. Mike, you got this exciting thing happening with Jimmy Warren on January 29th. I mean, 1 minute you're the producer and songwriter, and you're not really known as a guitar player, and all of a sudden the surf shredder took off in the world, and now you're like this guy that everybody wants on their album and play our cover band, and now you're being recognized by somebody like Jimmy Warren and other great guitarists. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. It was funny initially, and then after a while, to be very honest, it was driving me a little crazy, because, you know, obviously the Interior record, to play the rhythms, there's a lot of riff rock. But the funny thing is, every time a little solo would come on, because I really think In Theory is songs first, vocalist second, and I pepper in a little bit of solos, because I don't want to. I was very conscientious of how I want to do the solos. You know, that's why you hear on the very last 2 songs that we finished, there's a little bit more solos happening. But the funny thing is, every time somebody would hear it, they would go, "Is that you playing?" Not that they listen to the entire song for 4 minutes and there's all these guitar riffs going on. Every time a solo would come on, "Is that you?" And after a while, I was like, you know what? Let me do some videos of me just playing, you know, not necessarily shredding. So I started putting out, you know, like the Go-Go Shred video and the Go-Go Boogie video, and the clips from me playing on Getting Higher from the Interior record, and the solo of Heroes and Raise Me Up. So I want to put some of these things out of me. Yeah, no, I can play, you know. So, but now it's transformed where they forgot Mike, the writer producer guy, and they're like, "Oh, the Guitar Hero guy." So yeah, I was able to accomplish that, but it's kind of funny now. I'm seen that way, and then now I have to like convince people, no, I'm also the writer producer guy that you initially like that you like the music. And you're right, now, you know, getting invited to play, you know, with the Victor Wooten or the Jimmy Warren thing, and, you know, I understand I'm playing with Jared Jane Michaels and some other really prominent guitar players, and And our mutual up and coming friend Austin is going to be joining me on stage. Austin Moe.
Wow, Austin Moe with you?
Austin Moe is going to be, he sent me a little thing, and he's all excited to play with me. And it was a really funny thing. He goes, man, Mike, one of these days I hope to play with you. Like maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago. And then all of a sudden he was on the bill. He's like, Mike, I'm going to be on the bill. I've never met the kid. And, but
great guy, great kid.
But I know he's all excited. So it's kind of an interesting thing because in theory, when I do a solo, it's for the song, and this type of event where it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more of not so much the song. It's more like, yeah, I'm going to go shred for a bit.
Why not?
It's a different mindset, because when I'm playing with in theory or like a band as a whole, I want to have certain phrases. I want to make a statement, a musical statement. And the other thing is not really necessarily a musical statement, more than a little bit more of like an ego statement, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. My goodness. Anything else I could help promote before 2023, which is only, I don't know, a bunch of hours from now?
Yeah, you need to promote my movie in Russia that you haven't.
Or Tony's calendar book. You could see Tony singing in different positions every month, different outfits would be really cool.
Well, you have to get the Tony Closet calendar 2023.
The Tony Carboni one or the Tony Covino one?
Well, it could be. It all depends. Depends what he's wearing.
There you go. Well,
Gotta pay extra for that one.
I can't see if he's wearing a hat, but I can see him wearing all the rock star stuff, which he has already shown on a bunch of the videos.
But I think the only problem is like if you do the calendar with Tony in the closet, everything's going to be dark every time, so you won't even see him.
The club, he's going to bed at 9:30. Are you kidding me? He's not going to drop his phone somewhere in Nashville storm drain. No, that ain't gonna.
That's a story for another time.
That's a story for another time. Well, gentlemen, as I keep saying, I've always said there's no such thing as a coincidence. How I was connected to you guys back in, I want to say 2020 with the Go-Go Tuner. And we've never, believe it or not, folks, we've never, ever personally met physically. But I look at these guys as two great brothers of mine.
But
although
it feels
I got,
like we have, like even though we never really met, we have so many conversations, and and definitely, I'll say it on the air. I mean, I'm proud to call you my friend, and you've been there many times. From an emotional standpoint, when I needed a friend to talk to, and I always appreciate that. You're bigger than the show. You're bigger than that. I mean, the support thing, of course, we love that. But when I need a friend just to talk to, you're always going to pick up the phone for me.
well, that's what friends do. And then I get this thing in the mail, and I don't know if you could see it. I don't know. I hate these green screens, but I don't know. I'll definitely. There we go. I'll definitely put it on again when we end the video when I edit it. But I couldn't thank you enough. I didn't expect that. I don't expect anything. I just love what I do, and I get your music, and I support it from day one, and I'm going to support it all the way as long as we can. And I'm here for both of you guys. I encourage everybody to go get a t-shirt, In Theory Original.com. You go to Go-Go Tuners if you want a Go-Go Tuner.
Go to theoryoriginal.com. We have the updated website, and we encourage everybody to buy our CDs there, and we have the bundle combinations, and and we encourage other bands to do the same thing. Stop with the streaming. Stop giving your music away. Put value with your music. You put your heart and soul into your music. So don't treat the bands that you love and sell them for and whatever. Buy their music for 3 cents or 0.3% of one penny. Support those people. A lot of these bands have just put their heart and soul so you can enjoy this music. So come to our website, check out the latest news. Check out the CD, buy the CD, or at least minimum buy one of our shirts. But really just buy the CD, and if you really love the music, and you won't be disappointed. But we encourage, like I said, I wish just more people would try to do that. And I'm going to have my one last statement, and I just think the music industry right now is teaching people how not to make money and how not to be good businessmen. And and Tony and I were very deliberate that we only put the 2 songs on streaming for right now, and encouraging people to come to the site. That's why we updated our site with new pictures, new merchandise to buy, our touring, schedule, anything that's new that it's going on there. And just for the people out there, support your favorite bands, even if it's not in theory. Just support these guys. There's a lot of heart and soul and passion with all these bands.
Let me ask you one final question. Now that you brought that up, when can we expect the follow-up to the debut album? Any idea, Mike?
Oof. It all depends on how long after Tony and I just kill each other. But it's no, seriously. But I just got done doing 3 or 4 songs musically, and then Tony and I started this past week, starting to lay down some vocals on it, and then this one's gonna have a little bit different lineup. We have I can't say yet, but yeah, but a little bit different lineup. So if everything goes right, maybe March, April, we should have at least 7 songs done by March, April.
Are you talking album? Are you talking EP? Are you talking?
We would like to put out another album. That's the goal. We want to make our next statement, and I can see we're ready. I wouldn't say necessarily it could be an evolution, but there's definitely a shift of tonalities, and hearing some stuff that Tony's doing vocally is slightly different. So it's cool to see that we're not scared of everything or scared of anything, and I'm glad that we're not putting ourselves in a box either, because again, we could get enamored with the sound of the first record, so we're still keeping one foot in this this record that you're promoting, but there's also a growth to it. So it's like if you listen to Zeppelin 1 versus Zeppelin 4, or Aerosmith, first record to
Toys in the Attic
or Toys in the Attic. Yeah, there's an evolution, but they still are what they are. So.
Well, gentlemen, I've taken a good hour of your time. I wanted to showcase the best of the best of 2022, and I certainly have it with these 2 guys. Whether you believe me or not, I really don't care, because I know what I hear and I see, and I interview a ton of people.
I believe.
Well, I mean, when a city says we got a new sound, and we're not talking, Jersey City, we're not talking Poughkeepsie, New York, we're not talking Westbury, Long Island, we're talking Muscle Shoals. Holy shit, if that's not a statement. And I
absolutely.
I congratulate you both. I don't have much patience, but persistent and hard work always pays, and it couldn't happen to 2 better guys. So my door is always open, and all I can ask is wishing the best in 2023. And I know you got me excited. I can't wait to hear more. And I can't wait for you folks to follow these guys, because it's about to blow up. And I can say I was on it from the beginning. So it's all.
Well, you need to be our announcer when we do these big festivals.
Hell yeah. That's what I was going to say. When's the date of the festival? Because I'll be 25,000 plus 1 squid is coming down going, Muscle Shoals!
We need the squid.
All right, Tony, come on out. Tony, take the hat off. Take that. I could be the announcer, I could be the merch guy, and I could be the bodyguard. So whatever you need,
That's right.
All right.
Forget about it. Forget about it.
Right.
Forget about it.
Hey.
It doesn't get any better than this, son. Pet sound bites with the incredible in theory of Mike Mostert and Tony
Thank you,
Covino. Wishing everybody a happy, healthy, safe, and prosperous new year. Be safe out there and keep rocking new music and in theory.
Lay me down and wash me in your river. Travel the long road, my past is taking its toll. Want from me. We're gonna save me. Turn my dark to light today. We're gonna save me. Storm is coming, carry me away. You want from me. Just give me a little bit. Just give me a little bit. Give me a little bit of what you want from me.